We need to really get started on this flat belly journey. And today, there's not any better example than what Phyllis Nash has been able to do. She already has a banging body, but guys, this lady has really tightened it up and really has gotten so much excitement from her before and after pictures. She's a leader in the company in that she is a co-founder. She's also our our CSO, meaning our Chief Sales Officer, leading from the front as our first diamond and double diamond. She's also leading from the front in this charge for better health. And so without any further ado, the midwife of Wakana, Phyllis Nash. Go ahead
Awesome,
and take it
awesome.
away, lady.
Thank you so much, Kathy, for that. Again, we met in 2006 as strangers, but oh my God, what time and a business and building and have like-minded goals, because you and Adrian are family to myself and Lewis. And so you'll hear more about Kathy later on. She is right now our VP of Finance, and she is an emerald in the business. She told her guest, said loud and proud, that Kathy Weathersby had invited her, and I said, you are absolutely with one of the right people in Wakana. She's an emerald, guys. That means that she has done over $50,000 with she and her team. And I'm just so happy to be in business with her, in friendship and in family. So with that being said, I'm going to switch out my screen real quick. I'm going to get up the slides so we can get this show on the road. And we are here for the flat belly lifestyle. You see it right here. We have a lineup like none other for you. And so let me get started with what our vision is. See, the Wakana movement, we exist to help end the negative stigma that has caused communities around the world to suffer and lose out on the health and wealth benefits of the cannabis plant. Now, our mission is, we knew that we were not just a company. We knew this was a movement, and we are the catalyst to stir that movement that inspires people to confidently move into the legal space as entrepreneurs, formulators, and investors, evoking the courage and strength of people to take back their health, wealth, legacy, and freedom. And now these are my other three co-founders. We're going to kick it off with our own CEO, Melissa Boston, whom you're going to hear from a little later. She is the visionary of Wakana. And this young lady I met over 14 years ago, same year I met Kathy. But she made a truly big impact on my life when I first met her, because she had just fired her boss the day before. You heard me right. Fired her boss from corporate America, where she was making six figures, guys. Why? Because it did not provide her the time, freedom to spend with the people that she loved the most, her son, Tariq. But she went into the social selling industry, where she had been building that industry for a few years, and she dove in full time. And guys, she broke records. She became the MVP of 3 companies, went on to develop teams in over 46 countries, did a 360 when a mentor of hers asked her to be the CEO of his cannabis company. And she said no at first, but when she heard the benefits of what cannabis could do, she said, oh yes, I am on board 100%. That was 2017. In 2019, we founded Wakana. And again, she took that former company from $8,000 a month up to $225,000 a month. I'm spending time on her, guys, because I want you guys to know who you are in business with. She is our pillar of legacy, guys, and our CEO and visionary. And then none other than our own Dr. Rita McGuire. She is our chief medical officer and a over 30-year OB-GYN here in Illinois, having delivered over 8 1,000 babies. But it doesn't stop there. This girl wears so many hats. She's one of the hardest working MDs in so many different areas, but she's also an expert in the cannabis industry. Yes, that's right. The state legislature asked her to come down and testify before they legalize adult use marijuana here in Illinois. And she is the head of our medical board. Myself, you've already heard about me. You heard Kathy say something about me being the midwife. I absolutely love helping people deliver all the gifts that they have that they're pregnant with. I help them deliver, push, I'm the midwife. And then none other than our president, Patricia Van Pelt. She's an evangelist. She's a pillar of wealth. She is also a third-term state senator, soon to be fourth term here in Illinois. And we are proud to have her on board as our president and our pillar of wealth. And so, guys, now we go on to our medical advisory board. You hear me being proud about everybody I'm talking about, because I flat out am. Our medical advisory board is headed up by Dr. Rita McGuire. Not only do we have doctors, we have social workers, we have chiropractors, MDs, PharmDs, psychiatrists, psychologists, nurse practitioners, and nurses, every walk of life in the health profession. And not only are they our advisory board, but they actually recommend and are distributors here at Wakana. So you know that they believe and they educate their patients about the plan. And so let me talk about some of the industries that CBD and Wakana is already participating in. We started out with our CBD tinctures and topicals and essential oils. Now, CBD is a $7 billion industry. And yes, you see Delta 8. We also have Delta 8 here at Wakana. We're in the hair care industry, which is an $87 billion industry. Skincare, $190 billion industry. Essential oils is a $20 billion industry. Now, when COVID came, we pivoted and we had to make sure we brought to the marketplace something that helped the immune system and the wellness. And guys, that's a $3.4 trillion industry. We are in the weight loss industry that's a $288 billion industry, but we introduced Flat Belly 2.0, and that's what you're here to hear about tonight. And so before I bring on our speaker, I'd like to give a little testimony that Kathy shared before. Yes, I got on our phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Wasn't real serious in phase 1. Back in April. Got a little more serious in phase 2, which I started in August, was able to lose 8 pounds. But when we got started with the phase 3, the 21-day raw cleanse, myself and my life partner, Lewis, we both went on. I tell you, that's life-changing, has been life-changing for me. And for us, I was able to lose 14 pounds total, a total of 6 inches. And that might be nice on the cosmetic side, and it's good because I lost the weight. But what impressed me more, I was able to drop my cholesterol 50 points, guys. Stabilized my blood pressure. And my doctor had been talking to me over 6 years trying to get me to take statins. And I said, I won't do it. She said, your diet will probably not lower your cholesterol. Well, I was so happy to prove her wrong, and I am continuing on that path. We've been off now. It'll be 3 months since we completed our 21-day raw cleanse. It's almost time for another one. And without further ado, I'm going to bring up our CEO. You heard me say she was a visionary. She is our CEO. She is my friend, Melissa Boston. And she's coming. She's coming.
I'm here right now. I'm sitting here talking and muted out, but I want to just thank you first and foremost so much for all that you do. That presentation was incredible. You look amazing. I'm just always so excited anytime I have a chance to be in your presence. Phyllis is someone who's so modest, so humble. You saw how graciously she really, talked about all the C-suites, with Dr. Pat, Dr. Rita, myself, and herself. But she is someone who absolutely is so instrumental in the success of our business. We love you so much, Phyllis. We salute you as our first diamond, our first double diamond, someone who's out there leading, by example, and really, truly just being the epitome of what it means to live this healthy lifestyle. So thank you so much, and hello, and welcome everyone. Super excited because I have a video we're going to show. I do want to welcome everyone. I want to welcome all the men on the line. Okay, I was looking through, I said, do we have any men on the line? Okay, because we've dropped off this week. It's a lot less. I do know it's the Super Bowl, but I figured, I said, maybe it's all the guys, they just didn't want to get on today because of the Super Bowl, but we do have some of y'all. And so I'm going to actually do something real fun for the guys. The first guy who types his name in the chat, we have a prize for you. In fact, we're going to let you pick one of our amazing products on the CBD side. So let's see who just typed their name in.
Fred Shelton.
Hey, Fred. And guess what, Fred? You were the first.
Whoa.
You don't count, Mooney.
Oh.
You don't count, my brother.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. You are, well, I'll leave that up to our CEO.
So Mooney, guess what? We got you covered.
Fred
is the winner for this night. Awesome.
Congratulations, Fred.
You know what? Willie that's why he's a diamond in our company, because he is always the first person to act, the first person to jump in it. So Willie, we salute you, and I got you covered. So we'll see you at the Super Bowl party, okay? But we want to welcome everybody. Super excited. Wanted to have some little fun with our guys today, because I do know this is like your holiday. I know a lot of guys are taking off work tomorrow, and we think it's because of Valentine's Day. It's because they're going to have too much fun tonight, ladies, okay? I'm letting the secret out the bag, okay? And so what I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to share a video first. Let's start by sharing a video, because I think by seeing this video, it's going to really open up your eyes to see exactly why we're so excited about this movement. One of the discussions today, it's going to be on a documentary. We're going to actually have a discussion today with our panelists, and we're going to learn more about this documentary called The Game Changer. So you're actually participating in a very special edition of tonight. And so what I want to do first, I'm going to show the trailer, because I know there's probably someone out there who has not yet seen The Game Changer. So I want you first to kind of get an overall idea of really, the sentiment of this amazing, life-changing documentary. But then we're going to go through play by play and really talk about why this movement going plant-paced is critical for our survival. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Here we go.
Schwarzenegger. I ate a lot of meat. They showed us commercials.
Steak. That's what a man eats.
Selling that idea that real men eat meat.
Serious man food.
But you got to understand, that's marketing. That's not based on reality.
I've been teaching fighting techniques to government agencies for more than 15 years. Then I got injured. Unable to teach for at least 6 months, I spent more than 1,000 hours studying science on recovery and nutrition, and stumbled across a study about the Roman gladiators.
The gladiators were predominantly vegetarian.
How could the original professional fighters be so powerful, eating only plants?
When I made the switch to a plant-based diet, I qualified for my 3rd Olympic team. I broke 2 American records. I was like, man, I should have done this a long while ago.
When I went plant-based, I wasn't sure if I was going to survive. And I actually became like a machine.
One of the biggest misconceptions in sports nutrition is that we have to have animal protein to perform at a high level. That's just not true.
Sometimes you have to do things that your competitors aren't doing.
Today's blood and yesterday's blood.
Yeah. I think this is going to wake a lot of people up.
I was recovering better, not getting as sore. This was our best season in the last 15 years, and we had 14 guys on plant-based diets.
We all want to feel great, have more energy.
Cholesterol was 276. Today, 169.
Whoa, now you're talking.
Most guys my age can keep up with the grandchildren. My grandchildren can't keep up with me.
It's not one set of dietary guidelines for improving your performance as an athlete, another one for reversing heart disease, reversing diabetes. It's the same for all of them.
Someone asked me, how could you get as strong as an ox without eating any meat? And my answer was, have you ever seen an ox eating meat?
Say, wow, right? I mean, is that not an eye-opener just to see the power, first of all, of meat, and or the first of all of what we can do when we eliminate meat, okay? And so super
Today's
excited.
lecture is part
let's
of
talk.
my
One second,
series
guys.
called Chemistry.
One second. There you go. We don't want to have that keep moving. But what I want to do now is I want to go through some of the different areas from the documentary, and we're going to have our panelists actually join us and just share some of their thoughts regarding the phenomenal movie called The Game Changers. I know some of you watched it. In fact, if you've already seen it, just hit us up in the chat. Let us know you've already watched that. Just say, hey, I've watched it, so we can see who's already watched it. If you're new on the line, if this is perhaps your first time, being exposed to this documentary, definitely you want to check it out. It's on Netflix, and it's called The Game Changers, okay? The Game Changers, and it's available on Netflix. So let's go to now start going into the heart of this. Oh, it looks like a lot of you guys watched it. Wonderful. Well, great job, guys. And so now let's just jump into this conversation tonight, because we're going to have a conversation. We're going to really open up and just really dispel a lot of myths. We're going to hear from this expert team tonight. We're going to hear from our naturopathic doctor, Eric Prince. You've already heard from Phyllis Nash, but I'm sure she's going to join this conversation tonight too. We're going to hear from Rita J. McGuire, MD, and our awesome Diamond director, Willie Mooney. Let's look real quick at the top 10 causes of death from 2020. We know that 2020, we experienced a global pandemic. And oftentimes during that year, the focus was always COVID, right? But we do know that people died of heart disease and cancer. In fact, more than 1 million people, 1.2 million people died from heart disease and cancer combined. In fact, if you look at heart disease, it remains number 1. But look at what happened with COVID. It actually jumped up to number 3. It became the 3rd leading cause of death in 2020. And as you go down the line, and as you look at all the different diseases that we're dying from, what I look at when I see this is that most of these diseases are preventable. In fact, they tell us that 95% of the diseases that we die prematurely from are preventable. When you think about, the elephant goes to sleep one night, at a very old age, and they die peacefully. They don't suffer spending, months in the hospital hooked up to machines like we often do. In fact, when we add up all those deaths, we're talking about over 3 million people are dying every single year. And a lot of these deaths are premature. And so let's first read our disclaimer. These statements have not been approved by the FDA. The information is provided for educational purposes. These products should not be used to treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose your condition. If you're under the care of a doctor or if you're on medication, please consult with your physician before incorporating any new nutritional supplements or regimens. And so now that we've gotten that out the way, and we've had a chance to watch the trailer for our Super Bowl pre-show, I want to just dive into some of the amazing fun facts that we actually learned with the Game Changers. I do know that Eric is driving right now. I know he's en route to our dispensary because we have an amazing Super Bowl party happening in about an hour and a half, okay? And so I'm going to give him a little bit of time to get safely to the destination. And so while we do that, I might call on some of our other panelists, so be prepared. But one of the things that really, struck me when I watched the documentary is that this information isn't anything new. There's a lot of athletes that already learned early on that being plant-based made them stronger and it made them faster. In fact, when you look at Edwin Moses, 2 gold medals, he did that being plant-based, okay? And when we think about, Carl Lewis, he's oftentimes considered, an icon for so many of us, not 9 gold medals. Do you know that he actually broke his records when he was older, at 30 years old, because at that point, he became plant-based. And so that blew me away. In fact, looking at some of the new up and coming, sports athletes and seeing that they're also making the switch to go plant-based. In fact, this is Morgan Mitchell. She's an Australian Olympic champion, and she switched to plant-based and found that it actually made her more competitive. She was actually able to break more records being plant-based. And so let's first talk about the myth, because I know if you're like me, I grew up, my whole life thinking, you eat the protein and you're going to become big and strong. But when you start to really think about the science of how animals get their protein, what are animals eating? When we think about the biggest and most strongest animals in the world, what are they eating? Are they eating typically other animals, right? Some of them do, right? There's some of them that are carnivores, but we know that those carnivore animals have short lives, okay? But when you think about animals like the ox, when you think about even the cow, when you think about, pigs, they get their protein from plants. Think about that for a second. They get their protein from plants. And so by us eating the animals to get our protein, it's actually a very inefficient way for us to get our protein. Wouldn't it make more sense to get our protein direct from the plants? And so this is another part of the documentary that blew me away. It compared the difference between meat eaters and plant eaters. Because again, if you're a meat eater, you're going to think, hey, you're going to be big and strong by eating all this meat, but not realizing that as plant eaters, look at how much protein they're getting through plants. In fact, meat eaters get more of their protein from plants than they do even the animals. So again, it's given us a clue, why are we eating, all of these animals in order to try to get all this protein? And one of the things that blew me away was when you really start to compare the antioxidant content of plant-based protein versus animal-based, because this is now when we start getting into the areas of heart disease, right? When you think about the fact that plant-based protein, not only are you getting the protein, but you're getting antioxidants. And what are those antioxidants doing? They're preventing inflammation, right? They're helping us to get extra nutrients that are really heart protective, that are really cancer protective. But then when we think about eating these animals, they really don't have any antioxidants or any added nutrients other than that protein that we think we're getting. And even when you learn about the iron, because I used to think as a young teen, when I had problems with low iron, they told me to eat steak, to eat more meat. We're going to also dispel that tonight. You're going to learn how getting your iron from animals is just not efficient, and it's actually leading us to premature heart disease. And so in that video, you saw a few of the athletes, that were eating plants, and they're so big and strong, they're actually breaking more records now that they're actually eating plants. And so this is a gentleman who actually holds 2 of the world records in weightlifting. And he says by making that switch to plants, he got so much stronger, so much more competitive, and he was able to break his best records by being completely plant-based. And then, of course, I'm always just so amazed when I see this guy. He's like one of the strongest men in the world. You can see that he's lifting 4 grown men at the same time. That's just insane, right? But you also saw at the end of that video, he picked up a car. He literally lifted up a full car and tipped it all the way over. So clearly, now hopefully we've dispelled that myth that you have to eat animals in order to grow big, strong muscles. And one of the other items in the documentary, The Game Changers, that we love so much is it really gave live examples. I know a lot of times in medicine, you want clinicals, you want to see the evidence, what is the science behind, a lot of these conclusions that people are drawing. And so it was really fun having a chance to see some of the NFL guys, whether it was Michael Thomas and Griff Whalen and Kenny Stills. These gentlemen play for the Miami Dolphins. 2 of them are meat eaters. In fact, one of them, Kenny, he loves fried chicken. He says before every game, he loves getting that fried chicken. And then we had Griff, who's the vegetarian in the middle. And so what they did is they actually gave them an opportunity to actually have some plant-based burritos and some meat burritos. And when they compared the difference, and I know Dr. Reeder probably can look at this and see that it's not well, but the ones who actually ate the meat, what they found is instantly the animal fat actually started circulating around in the blood. I want you to think about that for a second, instantly. But the ones who had the plant-based protein from the beans, that didn't happen. And so what they started concluding is that's why people that go plant-based tend to recover even faster, whenever we're actually performing in sports, or perhaps we're working out. I noticed for myself, going back to work out after taking off for about 5 months, typically if I go back to working out, I'm going to spend 2 to 3 days paying the price, my body's going to be so sore, okay? But it didn't happen. And why did it not happen? Because since I went on that 21-day cleanse, I decided to give up animal meat and animal protein. So I've been completely vegan. And by being vegan, what I noticed is my muscles recover almost instantly, which is exciting. And so now look at the difference between the people that actually ate the plant-based, right? I mean, in both analysis, their blood fat didn't happen. So they didn't get that extra fat circulating around in their blood. And for those of you who heard Dr. Prince talk about the impact of sex, okay, especially our guys, you know, a lot of times we think meat makes us manly, you know, it makes us gonna better perform. They actually did a study also with young college athletes. They wanted to see, even at a young age, would these animals actually impede their ability to actually have a good, healthy sexual function. And guess what? It absolutely made a big difference. I mean, look at that. When they just ate the plants, they had a 303% increase in the minutes throughout the night that they actually had healthy erections versus when they ate the animal meat. And so again, it really gets you thinking, you know, is this animal meat something that's really serving us, okay? And so some of the statistics they put out in the documentary, you know, included the fact that, you know, it doesn't take a lot of animal meat. You know, a lot of times we think, oh, it's because of a lifetime of making poor decisions, but they actually proved that's not the case. You know, in fact, almost immediately, you know, when we consume just one hamburger, we actually have a decline in several different areas of our body, and then an increase of inflammation. And so that was just mind-blowing. You know, when I read and had a chance to read that, I'm thinking just one hamburger, you think it would be maybe after a month of doing it, but it was pretty instant in every case throughout the documentary. And then look at inflammation. Think about how many people, you know, suffer from pain and so many issues, you know, that affect us, you know, whether it's arthritis, sometimes it's rheumatoid arthritis. And when you notice that this animal meat is having an immediate impact on our levels of inflammation, in fact, increasing it by as much as 70% with just one hamburger, that's called a clue, okay, that we need to make some serious decisions. And it was really great too, because a lot of times, you know, people have to see celebrities, right? They have to see NFL players doing something for them to really get serious about making major changes. And I was so happy to see that they actually utilize people like Derek Morgan. You know, his wife is a professional chef. She now is a plant-based chef. She put him on a plant-based diet. And then about 12 of their teammates went on a plant-based diet. And for the first time, I believe in I think it was 17 years, you know, the Tennessee Titans, you know, made the playoffs, okay? And so, hey, was it related to that? You know, the players will tell you what happened to them when you watch the documentary. But it was just exciting seeing the power and the possibilities of where this could lead. And so what we're going to do, we're going to get into more of the science. And so when I jump into the science, I'm going to really want to lean on, you know, Eric and Dr. Rita, depending on who's available, because I do know Eric is still probably driving. But what we want to do is talk about what happens to the body when you start to make the switch, when you start to eat more plants. And one of the things that really blew me away is they talked about what happens to people when they just went plant-based for just 3 weeks. They actually saw a 29% decline in the body's levels of inflammation in just 3 weeks by going plant-based. And when I think about people that are actually on our 21-day cleanse, there's somebody out there, can you guys mute Pixel 3XL? It looks like that's a Superbook. There we go, thank you. When I started seeing what happens when people actually made that switch, you know, a light bulb went on. You know, it's like we need to get everybody understanding the importance of this. And so when you think about, you know, when you're eating these plants, and now you realize that these are actually fueling your muscle, they're fueling your energy, they're reducing inflammation, right? They're doing so much good to the body. It just makes sense that we need to eat more plants, okay? And so now that we're now going to get into the medical side, I'm going to bring up our phenomenal Chief Medical Officer, and hopefully Eric's there also to give some commentary. But Dr. Rita, you know, I want to have you come and take stage with me. Are you out there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear. I know for you, the Game Changers was a game changer. You know, before we start this segment, can you just kind of let them know what happened to you when you had a chance to go on the 21-day cleanse? And I know you've had a chance to see this documentary. You know, what has it done for you and your personal life and your personal business? I know because you teach fitness and wellness.
Absolutely. So I completed my 21-day cleanse about a month ago. And for me, it was truly an opportunity for me to get back to being a vegan, because 7 years ago, I was a vegan. And I always tell everyone a chicken wing hit my mouth, right? And I started eating meat again. So I was able to go through the cleanse and really get so many benefits. I lost 10 pounds of waist, which was great, but the clarity, the sleep, I do work out every day. Obviously, I use my CBD, my topicals. I was able to have less inflammation in my right knee that I injured. But most importantly, for me, it was the ability to be less stressed. As a frontline worker, I'm telling you, this COVID, we're all sick of it, but I'm really sick of it, right? And so that cleanse provided not only clarity, but calmness. I would like to point out a very, very important tennis star, Venus Williams. In 2011, I think it was, she was diagnosed with sojourn, which is an autoimmune condition, which is debilitating. You're talking about joint pain, it's debilitating. And she, Melissa, embraced a plant-based diet. Not only did she reverse those symptoms of sojourn, the inflammation, the pain in her joints, all of that improved, but she was able to build lean muscle. And that's what happens when you remove the animal protein that you think is going to build muscle. You actually build leaner muscle when you're on a plant-based diet. You're able to reduce your body fat, which makes you faster, which makes you stronger. So I have on my bucket list, Melissa, I've always wanted to compete. And I'm telling you, now that I'm back on this vegan journey, I think it's time for me to get this body fat down, become lean and mean. And you absolutely can do that with a plant-based diet. You don't need animal protein. Many great athletes have demonstrated that. It's a big myth. In fact, I fight with my trainer all the time. She's like, you got to eat meat. And I'm like, no, I don't have to eat meat at all. I can do this by using a very safe and effective way of eating vegan and plant-based. Now, everyone may not be able to become a vegan after the 21-day raw cleanse, but we want to really have you embrace the opportunity of maybe using 1 day a week, removing all animal protein from your diet. So I think a really good example that all of you will relate to is Venus Williams. I mean, you know, she was able to really address an autoimmune condition with plants. So that's all for me, Melissa. Did I answer your question?
Oh, you did. And I'm going to bring you up a little bit more, but we're going to talk a little bit now and relate it to the video. I know Dr. Kim Williams, he's the president of the American College of Cardiology. And I was really impressed because a lot of the experts were individuals who had, you know, very important positions at major universities or hospitals. And so these were people on the medical side. Many of them were MDs. Some of them were heart surgeons. And what they were telling us is that when we're consuming excess animal plants or excess animal protein, it actually starts to increase cholesterol. And as we look at this, I mean, what is that, Dr. Rita? It's arterial plaque, which is a form of what? Cholesterol. But here's what happens, guys. It keeps increasing. So think about the last time you went and had your blood pressure checked, or perhaps, you know, you went and had a reading for your cholesterol. A lot of times people hear the word they have high blood pressure. They hear the word they have cholesterol, but you don't often think about this arterial plaque that's building up in your arteries, and that it could actually lead to premature death. Because when you think about the people that die from a heart attack, for 25% of people, their very first symptom is death. And so as Dr. Rita said, even once you complete the 21-day cleanse, if you don't decide, hey, I want to go vegan or vegetarian, perhaps you might just choose to go pescatarian, or perhaps you choose to have a few days a week to just really eliminate that animal meat and give your body a break. And so I was very changed by watching this, because when we think about, our bodies, oftentimes we're looking on the outside, we're looking at the excess fat, we're looking at our energy levels, we're not thinking about that heart that's working so hard, that's trying to keep up. And as the arteries continue to build up the plaque, the heart has to work harder and harder and harder. And eventually, guess what happens? We have heart failure, right? The heart stops working, or sometimes it leads to stroke. And so when we really think about this and analyze it, it just becomes such a game changer. There's another doctor, Dr. Rita, that was there, and he was the chief cardiologist, okay, for Kaiser Permanente. And this is Dr. Columbus Batiste. His opinion in this video was also a game changer, because he, again, is someone who's highly respected in the traditional medical world. And he's telling us also that we need to do what? Reduce or completely eliminate that animal meat. And this is someone who's actually doing what? Opening up the hearts of people. And it often takes someone who's doing surgery after surgery only to finally make that connection that, listen, guys, how many hearts do I have to open up? How many stents do I have to put into the heart before we make that connection and realize there's probably related to this animal consumption that we're eating? And so let's talk about some of the myths, Dr. Rita, because I used to even see you a lot of times talk about egg whites, right? And one of the things that this particular game changer has pointed out, it says, in the past, we've heard about cholesterol, being the silent killer, or saturated fat. And so we were told, hey, reduce your red meat. And so everybody was on this whole bandwagon that if I don't eat red meat, I'm doing so much better. So what would they start eating? They would start eating chicken. Maybe it was pasture-raised chicken. Maybe it was lamb chops, right? Which is still a form of red meat. Maybe it was shrimp. So we would think by not eating the red meat, we were going to save our hearts from heart disease. But guess what? They learned that that's absolutely wrong, okay? Because even when you're talking about things like egg whites, something that, again, we think because it doesn't have the saturated fat, because we're taking away all the yolk, hey, this is so much leaner, this is going to be so much healthier for us. But they were actually to show us studies where that actually didn't make a big difference at all. And so when I had a chance to go through this documentary, Dr. Rita, and watch it repeatedly, it just concluded to me what this doctor said. Dr. Kimmy says, we will just do much better by getting rid of the animal meat, and these are experts who are working with patients that are having cardiac problems, telling us that this is their expert advice. And so I'm not sure how familiar you are with some of the subjects here, Dr. Reed. I know you're an OB-GYN, so you've normally been working on the side of working with a lot of women who are about to give birth, but I do know that your patients come to you sometimes with different issues, perhaps with heart disease, even as someone being pregnant. And so maybe give your opinion, right, of what you see with these doctors and these heart experts, and how do you relate that to you being an OB-GYN?
Well, I actually was on the phone with Dr. Alan Jackson. He's one of the top cardiologists here at University of Chicago. He spoke, I think, a year and a half ago on one of my Wednesday calls, and we were talking about the plant-based diet, and he really promotes that in his practice. And I also just realized that a plant-based diet can reduce your risk of heart disease by 40%. I mean, the research shows it. So it's not really about the cholesterol, like you said. There's a lot of studies now that are saying the animal protein is increasing the acid in our body. And we know that acid, high acid levels in our blood, is very responsible for plaque buildup, for inflammation, for chronic conditions that we're seeing today. So yes, cardiologists are using the way that is holistic by using plants, by really embracing a plant-based diet with their patients to help reduce heart disease. So my patients typically are hypertensive. My moms are young. My moms are eating a lot of McDonald's and fried foods. And we're seeing more and more young patients with hypertension and even cardiomyopathy, meaning that they have been hypertensive. They have had high blood pressure that has not been treated for so long. The muscle of the heart just is really big. And then when you talk about an increase in volume in pregnancy and they start pushing, I've had patients that have gone into cardiac arrest, yes, and died in labor or trying to deliver. So heart disease, #1 killer, like you said, Melissa, in both men and women. We absolutely have to get the word out that animal protein not only increases the inflammation in the heart, but it increases an acid in our blood, which promotes a buildup of plaque in the arteries that lead to heart disease. And why this is very dear to me is that my mom had coronary artery disease. She had a triple bypass. My mother loved butter and bread. She'd eat a butter sandwich, as she called it, where she'd take butter and 2 slices of bread. She did that for years. And so when she developed heart disease, she decided she was going to change her diet. Well, unfortunately, at that point, the damage had been done. So I just implore on all of you to embrace a plant-based diet, to embrace, the information you're going to hear, because the science, the research, the cardiologists are really backing that this information that they've studied with plaque buildup in those who eat meat, animal protein, is increased. So you can reduce your risk of heart disease by 40% embracing a plant-based diet.
Wow, that is so powerful. And just to know that women given birth could go into cardiac arrest and not realize that their diet could have contributed to that. I mean, that is just alarming. So thank you for sharing that, because I know that's an eye-opener for so many people. And one of the things that they talked about in the documentary was related to iron. A lot of times as women, we're told to eat more red meat because we need the iron, right? And so they were talking about the animal meat that gives this certain type of hema-iron. They said it actually is associated with our risk of coronary disease. So it's the wrong type of iron that we need, first of all. And they said it's not even a lot of it that contributes to the increase of heart disease. They said just 1 milligram a day increases our heart disease chance by 27%. And so when you think about tuna, you think about chicken, you think about hamburger, look at that, even tuna has more than 1 milligram a day. So even something that you think is relatively healthy, like tuna or fish, it all has this certain type of iron that's increasing our risk of heart disease. And so it's just things we need to pay attention to, guys, because when we really start thinking about, the science behind this, it really starts making so much sense. And so what I want to do real quick, Dr. Rita.
And I just want to interrupt Melissa quickly, because I got in trouble yesterday with my cardiologist friend, because he saw a post of my Beyond Burger and he said, "Doctor, do you understand that the Beyond Burger has the same amount of saturated fat as a Whopper? So please stop." So like you said, things that you think are healthy, you've got to still be careful with those processed burgers and different sort of alternatives that we're seeking out when we are vegan and embracing this new lifestyle. So lots of fruits, lots of vegetables specifically are high in iron, and you can absolutely build your iron without eating liver. So Melissa, for us, when we were little, my parents made us eat liver every single Thursday night to build our iron stores up. So
yeah,
iron, liver and bacon, that's what we would eat every Thursday night.
When I think even your cardiac, or the gentleman who mentioned that to you, again, that's what they were pushing, that it's just the saturated fat. And I think that's one of the things that the documentary dispels. It says it's not just the saturated fat, because you can have 2 types of saturated fat, but if one of them is from animal, it's significantly worse from you than if it's some coconut and other things like that. So definitely there's a lot to learn.
Yeah. There is a whole school, Melissa, of cardiologists that do not like coconut.
Yes.
They don't like coconut oil. So that's a whole debate for another day, but.
Yes. Well, today what I want to do real quick, guys, is ask some questions and maybe give out some more prizes. And here's the question. What is the #1 killer of firefighters who die in the line of duty? What's the #1 killer? Anybody know? Who said heart disease? Somebody said heart attack. Who's that? Margaret Dorsey. Yes, 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 and yes. So Margaret Dorsey, you just won some free product as well. So we got you on the list. And I have another question. So now let's ask this question. The percentage of firefighters who die in the line of duty from heart attacks. What do you think the percentage of firefighters who die in the line of duty, how much of the percentage is from heart attacks? How much is the percentage from heart attacks? Let's see what they say. 80%, good guess. 75%, good guess. 40, y'all, you guys are very close. 60, you're getting close. I'm gonna give you guys the answer. No one's hit it yet, so I'm gonna give you guys the answer. 50, nope. Okay, here we go, guys. 67% of firefighters who perish in the line of duty die from heart attacks, guys. So think about that for a second. I mean, that just blew my mind when I thought about that. And so it's exciting too, because we have now coaches who are going to fire departments, really helping to empower them, because that's very strenuous work. And if the heart's not able to flow and pump because we're eating poor diets, what do the firefighters need to do? They need to change their diet. And so that leads us now to our phenomenal program. And hopefully by now, Dr. Prince has made it to our office so that he can share with us, you know, exactly why we need to change our diet. We need to go more plant-based, and we need to eat according to our blood type. So Dr. Prince, have you made it back to the office yet?
I saw him on here. Let me look.
Yeah, they were in the car, so I know it's kind of rough for them, so they might not have made it yet. So I'll give them about a second. Oh, you're on?
He's just muted.
Oh, maybe he needs help with that, Christian. Maybe make him a co-host.
He's unmuted.
Okay, great. Dr. Prince, how you doing today?
Well, there he goes. Yeah.
Getting there.
Oh, there you are. Hey.
Whew. Man, I be having the worst technical difficulties, right? I'm gonna start having to check my technical difficulty computer equipment about an hour in advance. So I do apologize for that. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you loud and clear.
All right. So where are we? Because I didn't hear a lot of stuff trying to get.
Oh, no problem. So now we've had a chance to kind of go through the movie Game Changers. In fact, you're the one who told us that was a homework assignment. So we all went and watched the documentary. Today, what we did is we went through the first half of the documentary. So we talked about a lot of the athletes that are using plants. We talked about how plant-based diet can help, you know, prevent and reduce your chances for heart disease. And so now we're leading up to why we need to start this particular program. You know, let's look at the blood type. Then we want to look at the aspect of the scan, and then the products that we can use to really help people to get on the right track. So let's first talk about why it's also important for them to eat according to their blood type, this whole plant-based type diet.
Well, I want to go back a little bit to the Game Changer. You know, a lot of you guys saw the Game Changer, and I really appreciate you taking my advice and seeing it, because it's really in depth as far as what's important to us, and all of the science behind it and the research that it was done is respectable research. It's honorable, and I can validate it, because before the Game Changer came out, I was already demonstrating how an athlete in his 40s can go back to running and competing as if he's in his 20s. So when the Game Changer came out, I was already 10 years ahead of them. I was already 10 years of scientist, so I already knew that the ability to reverse your age, you know, that's what I coined back in 2010, age reversal. And then that's what we created age reversal detoxification. So it was about reversing your biological age. But many of us didn't know that we have two ages. We didn't know we had a chronological age as well as a biological age. We only knew one thing. We only knew that we had a chronological age. And chronological time is based upon how long it takes the Earth to circle the sun, which is 365 days. So the fact is that we all grew up learning the same thing as it pertains to time. And because the mind, it controls the body, whatever your mind believes, the body follows. And so when I discovered that you had a biological age, then my goal was to find out, okay, how does that age work? Well, it works totally different from chronological time. In fact, the biological age has to do with how long it takes your organs, your body, your skeletal system to fully regenerate. And what I learned through my research is that it takes anywhere from 10 to 15 years in order for you to get a brand new body. So if that's the case, that means that every 15 years roughly, you have all new cells in your body, which means you have a new body, but the new body is not looking like the previous body. Well, why is the new body not looking like the previous body? You know, you get new shoes, you know, you ain't gonna buy no shoes that look worse than the shoes you just, you know, got rid of. You want brand new shoes just like you want brand new body. So the fact is that what's causing the body to degenerate over time, if indeed you are getting a brand new body. And that's what we were missing. We were missing that component because all we knew is that as you get, you know, once you leave 30 and you're on your way to 40 and you're on your way to 50, you just start planning on retiring because you're starting to get old. So just let it be, don't challenge it, just let it run its course. And that's all we've been doing is just letting it run its course. But when I discovered that you can slow down the aging process, then I discovered you can stop it. Well, I don't want to stop my aging process at 70. Then I discovered you can reverse it. Now that's where I set my life's work on biological tissue regeneration, biological tissue regeneration. So it's about regenerating the tissue. And this made sense to me because as a biology student, I was good at biology. So it made sense that when cells divide, they're dividing almost indefinitely based upon the condition. The cell, the human cell is immortal. The human cell is immortal. What kills it is the environment that it's dividing into. And every cell needs oxygen. So if you suffocate a cell, it's no different than putting a pillow over a human's face. You put a pillow over your face, you're gonna suffocate. Well, that's the same thing with your cells. They're suffocating, so they can't breathe. Yeah, they're immortal, but at the same time, if you suffocate them, they're gonna die. But if you create a better environment for your cells, then guess what? They can continue to replicate indefinitely. What does that mean? That means that you can continue to develop new organs. You can continue to develop a new body every 15 years. Well, the reason people start looking younger when they go through this process is because they're backtracking. It's almost like going through time. It's like time travel. They're getting younger, but they're really going back to their ideal, normal age and balance. See, we were supposed to live indefinitely at a certain state. But what happens is that state, the state we're in now, is called the state of degeneration. So over time, we're degenerating. We're not getting old. We're molding. We're rusting, but we're not getting old. We are only getting old based upon chronological time. And so that's what we've always associated aging with. Whenever your birthday was, from the time you came into this earth realm, and this earth circles that sun, which is 365 days, that's 1 year. So every year, what do we say? We say we're a year older. And if you keep telling yourself that year after year after year, then yeah, you're gonna program it into your subconscious mind. And that's what we've been doing. We are running on programs, and these programs are on autopilot. So literally, until you become aware of what's going on a deeper level in your subconscious, you can't stop this program. You know why you can't stop it? Because it's living inside your subconscious mind. And the reason that makes a difference is because when something gets into your subconscious mind, we don't really want it to change. Think about it for a second. You know, what if you get on a bike that you learned how to ride when you was little, right? And what if you get on it one day and you forget how to ride it? You see? You can't forget how to ride it. What if you get in your car one day and you forget how to drive it? What if you leave your house one day and you forget where you live? So the subconscious mind has a purpose. It's to lock in what you learn. But here's the problem. By default, we've been learning stuff that's detrimental to our life, that's detrimental to our health. And it's hard to unlearn it. Because if you train a child in a way he should go, he shall not depart. But if you train a child in a way he should not go, same thing, he will not depart. So it's more of an addiction now. We're dealing with an addiction. It's beyond what's right and what's wrong. We have an addiction to the animal protein, to the animal substance, and that's what the program is all about. It's about breaking the addiction. You can run 100 movies in front of a person, but as soon as that addiction kicks in, they relapse and they go right on back to that barbecue chicken that they've been eating all their life at the barbecues, at the cookouts, and then all of the gatherings, the love that was at the gathering. So, man, this is a deep-rooted addiction that we have to do systematically. And in order to do that, one of the things that helps is detoxifying the body. You have to get the body out of that state by flushing the substance out of your body. When you flush the substance out of your body, guess what? You stop craving it. Once you correct the nutritional and vitamin deficiency, then you stop craving stuff. You stop craving sugar, you stop craving coffee, you stop craving a lot of stuff. But here's the problem, is that it's so deeply rooted in us, we believe we love it, right? I was on the air today, WVON. I had a great show with Linnell Harris. And man, it was a overwhelming response. It's probably gonna take me 2 days to get back to everyone. But they were so hungry for the truth because everybody knows that something's not right, but I can't change it because I can't see it. The reason they can't see it is because it's subconscious. 90% of your thoughts every day are below your conscious awareness. That means the majority of who you are, is out of your sight. You're not even conscious of it. So the question is, do you know yourself? If you're not in touch with your subconscious mind and the content in your subconscious mind, then you don't really know what makes you tick. And so the food that we're eating, it's hard to stop eating it because it's a part of our program that's running in our subconscious. Think about it for a second. Your conscious mind processes 40 bits of information every second. 40. Your subconscious mind processes 40 million bits of information every second. You're going to try to go up against a 40 million bit processor with a 40-bit processor. It doesn't work that way. You get it? You have to work on that process because that processor is strong. You know why? Because you're not going to meet anyone whose blood flows different from yours, whose heart rate is different from yours, except in rate, heart rate and what it's actually doing. If the heart rate is different from yours, that means it could be a disease process. But look how long it takes for even the heart rate to start changing. So when we talk about the subconscious mind, you talk about what you've been doing from the time you had teeth. From the first time you got teeth, what did your mom do? She stuck that chicken in your mouth, that chicken nugget, probably from McDonald's. But once you tasted that nugget, it was on from there. Now, every year, you was eating chicken at least multiple times a week. So yeah, it's a part of your DNA. Your DNA, yep, your chemical makeup. And here's the problem with that. There's a law called the Law of Hybridization. The Law of Hybridization. What that means is when you cross your proteins with animal protein, you take on the life form of the lower species. You take on characteristics of the lower species. Those aren't vegans and vegetarians out there committing murders. Those are meat eaters because of the aggressiveness that's in the food that they're eating. Vegans don't even want to kill insects sometimes. You know, if I have an insect in my house, and it can't be a lot of them, because yeah, it's going to be a slaughter. But if it's only one or two, I take a cup, put it over the insect, slide a piece of paper up under there, talk to them on my way out the door, and set them free. I love life and I love other people, and I believe in preserving life. But when you're a meat eater, it's a whole different mentality. And so that aggressiveness, you also see it in our kids, but you see it in a way where it is a learning disability. We have problems learning because the meat is clogging up our system. It's clogging up our arteries, and we can't think straight. We're really emotional. Meat makes you very emotional. It affects your hormonal imbalance. You know, we talked about that today on WBON. We talked about how eating animals, eating meat, clogs up your system. It affects your hormonal imbalance, and it affects your gut health. So now, when we talk about blood type, which is connected to your digestive system, which is connected to your immune system. But check this out, your immune system and your digestive system are pretty much one and the same, because where are the bacteria? It's in your gut. The bacteria in your gut is 70% of your immune system. Yeah, the bacteria in your gut is 70% of your immune system. So isn't it obvious now that whatever you're eating, the question is what you're eating benefiting the gut flora, or is it detrimental to the gut flora? These are questions you got to ask. Every time you put something in your mouth, is it beneficial to my microorganisms, or is it detrimental to your microorganisms? You have more microorganisms, more gut flora, more bacteria, more viruses in your body than you have cells. You're more than human. You're more microorganisms than anything else. So if you don't take care of these microorganisms, then guess what? They will not take care of you. And that's why it's so important to understand your blood type, because the blood type diet and information and research is kind of like the icing on the cake. There's much more to do, but at the same time, knowing your blood type helps you to preserve what? Your gut flora, helps you to strengthen your immune system, and it helps you to be able to live a healthy life. Not knowing your blood type, yeah, you know, you won't go down the drain overnight, but I guarantee you, you'll get so far away from balance, you will have no idea how to get back. The fact that we're learning about the blood type, look at how long it's taken us to learn about it. We're dealing with people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s that they couldn't remember their blood type. At some point they might have known it, but they never remembered it. Why didn't they remember the blood type? Is because no one emphasized how important blood type was pertaining to the food that you're eating. So now that we understand that, based upon our chemistry, based upon the antigen on our red blood cell, there are certain foods that are not going to react well in your body. That's a fact. The question now is, okay, which foods are those? Which foods for me are those? I need to find those out, because if this food is triggering my immune system and it's making it hyperactive and it's weakening my immune system over time, then I need to either do one or two things. I either need to eliminate it completely or eat it rarely. Eliminate it completely or eat it rarely. That's my choice. So I can make that choice now, because now that I know which foods, and you're talking about 16 food groups. What if you're eating from 5 different groups the food that you should be avoiding? Now you're compounding the issue. You get it? You're compounding it. Now, I'm not saying that, hey, if there is one food group and there's something in that one food group that you like, and you say, you know what, I think I want to eat a little bit more of that, then at least now you're aware. You're aware that, hey, if I eat this food, I'm aware of the consequences. But if I'm eating this one particular food from this food group that I should be avoiding, then I've got to make sure that I'm not eating any more food from all the other food groups that are in my avoid list. You see what I'm saying? You see how you can work that now? You can't do that if you're in the dark. You cannot do that. You can only be at the mercy of whatever happens to your body. Now you know that you have to deliberately and intentionally operate and take care of your system. It's not going to happen because right now you're on autopilot. So you're not even controlling yourself. You're controlled by your surroundings when you were from ages 1 to 7. You're controlled by whoever was around you from 7 to 13. You're controlled by whoever was around you between 13 to 18, 18 to 21. So you're not even a product of your own deliberate intention. Let me say that again. You're not even a product of your own deliberate attention, right? So why is it important now? Because we need to take back control over our health. We need to take back control over our life. We need to be intentional with what we do. What does that mean? That means that up until now, we haven't really thought for ourselves. We think that we've been thinking for ourselves because we feel like we're originating thought, but we're not originating a lot of thought. We're only constructing and creating thoughts that was passed down to us that's been in our life for years. You know why? Because when you're on a lower frequency, there's a limit to what type of thoughts you can access. Guess what? When you detox your body, you elevate to a higher frequency, a higher level of consciousness, and you guess what? You access greater thoughts. You access better thoughts. You access healthier thoughts, and guess what? You access the thoughts of God. God tells you in Isaiah, he says, my thoughts are higher than your thoughts, just as my ways are higher than your ways. What he's saying is that my thoughts are on a higher frequency, but they're deeper. Anything that's higher is deeper. So when you clear all of the chatter out on that lower frequency, guess what's there on a deeper level? The thoughts of God. Those thoughts have been around since the beginning of time. You have just not had access to them. Why? Because animal protein lowers your frequency. It lowers you to the state of disease. Disease has a frequency. In fact, I think it's somewhere around 57 megahertz. Your brain is about 90 megahertz. You see, so the brain has to always stay at a high frequency. So if you're feeding your body bad food, guess what? The first thing that's gonna suffer? Your brain. You see, get it? What disease starts from the head down. So Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, a loss of memory, that's the beginning. That's the beginning of the end. So that's why it's important to know your blood type, understand what's going on in your body, reset your immune system, reset your digestive system, and guess what? You will start to establish hormonal imbalance. You know, we talked about hormonal imbalance, and we talked about the fact that if you don't take care of your gut, get this, if you don't take care of your gut, serotonin is produced in your gut. So serotonin is primarily produced in your gut. And you know what serotonin is? That's that happy hormone. In other words, that's the reason why when people don't have a good gut flora, when they don't have a good bacterial environment, they get depressed. They develop anxiety, fear, sadness. That's where their negative emotions are coming from. And they don't realize it's because those microorganisms are depressed, unhappy, have anxiety. You know why they have anxiety? Because they don't have a good environment. As within, so without. You take care of your microorganisms, they take care of you. You destroy your microorganisms, they destroy you. We're killing animals and they're killing us. Karma. We just don't associate it. So yeah, heart disease, unfortunately, we earn it. Cancer, we earn it. Diabetes, we have earned it. We just didn't know how we were earning it until now. When we talk about biofeedback technology, excuse me, biofeedback technology is helping us to get a hold on what's going on in our body. Because until now, we had no idea we had a long laundry list. We had no idea. Because you know why we didn't have an idea? Because when we went back and forth to the hospital, guess what they did? They said, well, we're gonna run some tests, but then they don't find anything. Why don't you go home? You got a clean bill of health. We'll see you in a year. Well, you come back in a year. They look at you, run the same test. It's up, we don't see nothing. Now, meanwhile, you're still having symptoms of stuff. In fact, you've been having symptoms since you was in your teenage years. You know what your first symptom was? Acne. Acne was a sign. Acne, think about that. Hey, acne is normal. Let's just get something, put it on it, and it's gone. Well, your acne transformed. You didn't even know it. It transformed right before your eyes and you thought it went away. No, acne didn't go away. It just became something different. Your acne became heavy menstrual cycles. Your acne became hyperactivity. Your acne became joint pain. And when it became joint pain, when it became hyperactivity, you said, oh, okay, the acne is gone. No, the acne isn't gone, it's just mutated. Then now you started dealing with over-the-counter medication or prescription medication for some of the things you're doing now, you know, asthma. But guess what? Asthma becomes advanced and that becomes cancer. It becomes Alzheimer's, it becomes leukemia. What I'm trying to say is this, is that the same condition that caused acne in its beginning stages is the same condition that causes cancer in the late stages. It's like a continuum. So how we addressed acne was the beginning of how we started addressing our signs and symptoms. We treated it topically. We treated it externally. We didn't go inside. Your skin is an elimination channel. So if you're dealing with acne, doesn't that make sense that there's something going on in the body? But we were taught to treat it topically. And yeah, you can do something topically and get it removed. But at the same time, if you treat it topically, if you only address the symptoms, the underlying condition just progresses and it gets worse. It gets worse until you reach a point where, yeah, now you're dealing with some severe abnormalities. When you had acne, it was only mild. But he was like, hey, nothing wrong. There's no crisis. I'm still feeling good. I'll put something on my face. I'll cover it up with makeup. Meanwhile, the diet is continuously dumping more and more acid into your body, more and more toxic waste. You're drinking more and more chemicals. So now what was once mild, as the bioscan shows you, it progresses to moderate. Or you can say intermediate. Now you're dealing with it from a medical perspective. Once again, you learned that when you have a symptom, go get it checked out, get the prescription, take the drug, and yeah, it might go away. And it sometimes do. A lot of times it does go away. But that doesn't mean the cause was eradicated. It just means that you silenced the voice of your body. You muffled it just like this. So your body is trying to call out, it's trying to help you, but it can't help you because you muffled it. You're supposed to assist your body, not work against it. Unfortunately, what's happening, the information we had, the information our mothers and grandmothers had was limited. Now we have more information. Now we have biofeedback technology. Now we can see and ascertain what's going on in our body at the cellular level, and we can see disease down to 10 cells or more. 10. What's the difference between the bioscan and regular hospital invasive equipment? Is how it's calibrated. The hospital equipment is calibrated at trauma level. They're not looking for 10. They can't see nothing at 10 cells, but they can see it at 100 million cells. So you have to patiently wait. until they get to 100 million cells. Then you can participate in the healthcare system, right? We're waiting to participate. We're waiting to participate in a system that's treating your condition in the late stages. This is why the bioscan is here. God said, you know what? We got to stop this, because guess what? I don't care how punctual you are, and people know I'm not always punctual. I don't always do things on time. But what I realized in society is that we're all procrastinators. You see? So if you judge somebody and say, oh, you're a procrastinator, you have no idea how much you've been procrastinating. We're all procrastinating because we're programmed to procrastinate. We're programmed to wait on the crisis. That's the most severe procrastination you can ever deal with, to wait on the crisis. Because I did a lesson, and on one of the slides, it talks about how a healthy person has 100% of this life force. It says that a doctor can recognize disease at 30%. 30%. What does that mean? That means that 70% is gone. Does that sound like the late stages now? 30% on the test, that's an F. 70% of your immune system is in your gut. That's a C. 90% of your thoughts are subconscious. That's an A. You see what I'm going with this? You have to know these things, because you can't order your life properly if you don't know these things. Ignorance of divine law is no excuse. You have to know these things, because you are the law. You are the placebo. You are the one who's controlling your own life. You're the only thinker in your universe. But guess what you can do? You can accept thoughts of other people. So if a medical doctor tells you you got 6 months to live, you're going to believe them. Why are you believing them? Because you're trained to believe. You're taught to believe them. And don't get me wrong, I believe them too. Because when I had asthma growing up, if I had an asthma attack, my mother would come off, get off work, and she would come take me to Children's Memorial Hospital. And so I just wanted to breathe. When I got to that hospital, guess what? They gave me albuterol treatments. They might have gave me steroid injections. It didn't matter. I didn't know what they would do. All I know is after about an hour or so, I was feeling better. I was breathing. So guess what? That was my hero. The white lab coat became my hero. Until later on, I learned something. I learned that they were the cause of my asthma. I learned that these vaccinations that we're poking these kids with, these babies, as soon as they come out, it's affecting the immunity of the baby, because the baby doesn't have a developed immune system. So it can't handle all of those poisons when it first come out, which is the reason why God gave us mother's milk. You see what I'm saying? He gave us mother's milk. What's in that milk? I don't know, but I'm gonna tell you, man cannot replicate it. There's no way. He put something in that milk that don't even exist on the planet. But when we don't breastfeed our children, guess what happens? We don't build their immune system up. And I'm gonna tell you this, I'm gonna be honest with you. When we grow substantially, and we will, when we become 100,000 plus strong, we are gonna demand that certain changes are made. We're gonna demand that babies do not get injected with these poisons until after about 2 or 3 years of breastfeeding. We have to mandate this stuff. If otherwise, we can't protect our children. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't believe in that anyway. But at the same time, if you feel like you're gonna need it getting into the school, then wait until at least 5 years old. Feed them a vegan lifestyle. Feed them the mother's milk for at least 1 year, for at least 2 years. My son, Abiel Zion Prince, we breastfed him for 3 years. We breastfed my son for 3 years. My son is vegan. He doesn't eat meat. He's 8 years young. He'll be 9. He can support his own diet. We were at a client's house, and believe it or not, the blessing was it was a Hispanic family. So we're moving into the Hispanic arena. And I was downstairs doing the scans in their basement, their full basement. furnished. I was doing scans down there with the family, but upstairs they was preparing vegan burgers. So of course my son was playing with their son, and then they asked my son, "Hey, you want a burger?" My son looked at him. He said, "No, no, thank you." And he was hungry. He was hungry because he had been ripping and running. And then they told him, they said, "Hey, it's a vegan burger." Well, he didn't trust it. And he was just being, he was just being aware. He came downstairs. He asked me, "Are the burgers vegan?" I said, "Yes, the burgers are vegan. So yes, you can have one." He went right on upstairs and ate him a burger. But guess what? He would have starved before he let that meat get in his system. And this is a child. And this is what I'm saying, is that by the time we turn 30, 40, 50, we've accumulated so much baggage. We've created so much autopilot karma in our system. The addiction is so strong because we've been eating and consuming it for so long. It's a part of our DNA. It's a part of our chemical makeup. Man, it's going to take a while to come out of that. So the best process to reverse this, the best process is to cleanse and detoxify the body on an annual basis and never stop. When you turn 100, you don't stop. When you turn 200, you don't stop. When you reach 700, you don't stop. Why? Because every time you do it, it adds more life. Every time you detoxify your body, you move further away from the grave. Kid you not, you move further away from the crisis. At some point, we will not need a medical system. At some point, no one will be taking drugs or medication. No one. At some point, you won't even hear about heart disease. You won't hear about cancer. You won't hear about these things because they'll be in history books. We'll be telling them to our great grandkids, right? So if you don't want to make the change, if you don't want to take the pledge, then do this. Send me a few pages of what you want me to tell your great grandkids. I'll tell them in person. I'll tell them how good you were. I'll tell them you was a good man. I'll tell them you was a good woman. I will talk to them in person because I'm going to be here. I'm not being left behind. I tell people that in kind of a joking way. Some people think it's a joke, some people like it. But that's the truth. Some people say, well, I want to be around to see my kids graduate, my great grandkids graduate. But then they don't go past great anymore. They don't go past great. They don't say great or great. Because in their mind, we don't perceive life beyond a certain point. So if you can't see it, you will not reach it. You have to see it. It doesn't matter how big it is or how unbelievable it is based upon what you're experiencing right now. You literally have to let your mind go, free it, let it go. When I tell people, yeah, we're going to be around for 1,000 years. To me, that's not something unreal. You know why? You know what I'm saying? Right, send me a few pages so I can talk to your great grandkids. I'm gonna talk to them and I'm gonna educate them. I'm gonna make sure that they don't repeat history. But at the same time, it's not far-fetched to live a long life now. You know what I discovered? I discovered that death is not as inevitable as we think it is. See, dying at a young age, living shorter than 100, that's unnatural. The Bible says a child shall die at 100. This is scripture. A child shall die at 100. What does that mean? They're not saying that children are going to die at 100, but they're saying that if a person passes at 100, they're still considered a child. Now, I don't know about you, but we're not making it to 100. A lot of people aren't making it. So you're telling me that scripture is looking at human beings as children, even though they're 100 years old? Yes, because God says, as the days of a tree, so shall be the days of my people. As the days of a tree. How long do trees live? How long do trees live? Hundreds, thousands. I think the oldest tree is probably close to 1,000. But think about this for a second. ask the question, what do you eat from? Predominantly. Do you eat from animals or do you eat from trees? Well, I don't eat from animals anymore. So I've gotten that protein out of my system. I eat from trees. I want to live as long as a tree. I don't want to die as an animal because that's no life there. So you have to make the decision. Your success is in direct proportion to what you're willing to sacrifice. The question is, are you willing to make some sacrifices? If you are not willing to make sacrifices, it doesn't matter what anybody does. It doesn't matter who tells you or who teaches you anything about health. If you're not willing to make those sacrifices, you will not get the life that you desire. You will not see 120. You will not see 500. You will not see it. But you make if you're willing to make the sacrifices, and what I mean by sacrifices, you got to let go of the protein, the animal protein. And don't get me wrong, I grew up with animal protein, and I was one of those bodybuilders that believed that eating meat was manly. It was masculine. And if you didn't eat meat, you couldn't build muscle. If you didn't eat meat, you couldn't build muscle. This is what we were taught. But guess what? I'm dealing with a lot of brothers, a lot of Black men in their 60s that's been eating meat all their life. And guess what? They're not too much more manly. They're having sexual issues. And I think Melissa pointed that out with the video because they did that test and they showed the erection after a certain diet. Well, let me tell you this. That's true. It's true. When brothers go through the detoxification process, I don't talk to them about the perks of libido, of their libido. I don't talk about that because I didn't think that was as important as getting their blood pressure taken care of or getting their prostate shrunk. But at some point during the cleanse, I get a call, and I'm gonna talk to you because we're all adults on here. A gentleman who was low sex, in fact, he didn't have a low sex drive. He had no sex drive. He had an enlarged prostate and he had painful urination. So he wasn't thinking about his sexual performance. He wasn't thinking about that. All he wanted to do was just be able to have a decent urination without pain. Well, a week into the process, and I recommend no extracurricular activity during the cleanse. You wanna. Paul said you must separate for a time for fasting and prayer. So during the cleanse, you separate. I think I'm gonna have to start telling people that because what's happening is that once you start waking up and something's waking up before you, it seems unbelievable because it hadn't been there in a while. But what men are seeing is that they're seeing what they saw when they was in their 20s. That prowess, their libido is getting stronger. So now, like a new toy, they want to use it, right? So they want to use it, which is also going to zap the energy. So definitely it corrects everything. It corrects your libido. So guess what? No more Viagra. It shrinks fibroids. So no operations. It corrects endometriosis. It actually even reverses kidney failure, which is a big issue in the Black community, right? It's a big issue in the Black community because guess what we're seeing? We're seeing a lot of dialysis places popping up all around the community. Dialysis, right? That means that your kidneys are not filtering your blood properly, and it's leaving behind a lot of pollution. And I want to say this, that my condolences to the people who have lost parents to cancer. Unfortunately, we didn't know this back then. We could have saved them, but we just didn't know what we needed to. But what we can do is you can make their passing and their situation meaningful. Make it your place. Make it your purpose to help other people's mothers, other people's fathers, other people's grandmothers. Let it be a mission. Don't Don't dwell on what happened in the past. You know, we couldn't change it. But guess what? We can help somebody else. And that's what I'm doing. You know, I couldn't help my grandmother back in 1979. Nobody could help her because nobody, that's a double negative. I want to say a double negative. No one had any knowledge of how to help my grandmother when she was having her heart attack. In fact, I don't even think they knew CPR. So it was all about, okay, call 911 and wait, watch her die. Now, I'm actually going to recommend that we start taking CPR classes. I can teach CPR. Dr. Rita can teach CPR. We can teach CPR. Thyroid, yeah, that's easy. Well, depending on if you still got your thyroid, but thyroid is no different than prostate. Every organ in your body becomes a dump site when you're overloaded with toxic waste. If your thyroid is overloaded with toxic waste, that becomes hyper or hypothyroidism, and it becomes inflamed. If your liver becomes inflamed with toxic waste, fatty deposits, you know, at some point it becomes hepatitis. The pancreas becomes pancreatitis. Kidneys become nephritis. You see what I'm saying? The prostate becomes prostatitis, which leads to low libido, to the point where you might even develop prostate cancer. So toxic waste in the body does not do the body. That's why it's so important now to start a new habit. A new habit is cleaning your system out at least once or twice a year. If you're just starting this journey, you should probably do it anywhere from 2 to 3 times a year for the first 2 years. It takes about 4 cleanses to reach 80% healing. 4 cleanses to reach 80% healing. So you got some work ahead of you. So yeah, when we talk about, you know, weaning yourself off meat, I don't expect people to be able to come straight off of it in 3 weeks. Some people go back to it, but even if you go back to it, know your blood type and understand which meats, which fish, which fruit, which vegetables, which nuts, which breads, which beans you should be eating. You see? So now you're a little bit more intelligent about what you're putting in your body. But let me say this, the less you eat, the longer you live. The less you eat, the longer you live. Now that's something that you have to process, because we were taught that if you don't eat, you starve and you die. So that's lurking in our subconscious as well. We have to dispel a lot of myths. See, in other words, we have to start pulling back layer and layers of lies that we've been taught, because these lies is controlling our life. These lies is controlling us, but these lies are hurting us. But guess what? These lies are a part of our belief system. And so when I talk about belief, I'm talking also about epigenetics. You got to get this part. This is the last component I want to talk about. I'm not sure where we're at with this, Melissa, but epigenetics. Epigenetics is a new science out. Epigenetics is a new science. You know what I mean? Because our old science was called genetic determinism. Genetic determinism means that the expression of your genes is within your genes. And that's not true. The expression of your genes is outside of your genes. Your environment controls your biology. So how you perceive your environment can either make you well or make you sick. That's epi. Epi means above. So the expression of your genes is above or beyond your genetics. That means that the life you're living, whether it's true or not, whether it's based upon myths, lies, or if it's based upon truth, your body is gonna be the judge. If you're living a lie, you're gonna experience disease in the body. If you start living the truth, guess what? Your body heals. Guess what? It's that black and white. God said, I set before you this day, God love. I set before you this day, good and life and good, death and evil. Can't drag it like that. You gotta pick it up. Let Mike pick it up. Sorry, y'all. They was dragging chairs around here. So anyway, life and good and death and evil, choose life, that thou and thy seed shall live. The importance of this process is this. We want to give you back your choice, your freedom to choose. We never had it when we were born into this world. There was only one system they gave us, and that system was not conducive for a long life. So if that system was not conducive for long life, then either we eliminate it or we change it. Well, I believe it still has some purpose. So we don't have to eliminate it. We can keep the healthcare system, but let's redefine it. Let's call it what it is. It's crisis care. It's not healthcare. You agree with me? It's crisis care. Because in this medical system, they're not healing the body. In order to heal the body, you have to eradicate the disease. How long we've been giving money to the Cancer Society, to the Heart Association, and they're still number one and number two. Nobody has asked, where did all that money go? It went in people's pockets and in banks. No research is being done because obviously we're still dying from heart disease and cancer. So when they come to me asking for money, I might seem like a heel, but I don't give them money. I say, well, let's talk about this. I have the cure. I know how to reverse cancer. I know how to reverse diabetes. I know how to reverse heart disease. I know how to reverse it. It's a process. When you understand what's causing the process to move in that direction towards crisis, when you understand, then you can reverse that process. So let's start working on reversing heart disease. Give us some of that money so we can start building wellness centers so that we can really start eradicating diseases, not just treating them. So here's the thing. It's going to take a minute for people to really accept the holistic process. So hospitals are going to need to be around for a little while. Hospitals are going to need to be around for a little while until they start to stop procrastinating. I don't even know if that's the proper usage, but let's go with it. They need to stop procrastinating. Once we stop procrastinating, then we'll start living in a world called disease prevention. When you are preventing disease, you're not waiting until the crisis show up. The healthcare system is designed to treat you in a crisis state. That's why they don't see anything early. They don't see it until it's in the 100 million cell abnormality range. Then that's when they could see it. But by that time, it's so late, you're not considering anything that you don't know, which is a holistic approach. You don't know that approach. So you're not going to try something you don't know. You're going to go with what's already been given to us. For cancer, it's chemo and radiation. Knowing from the stats that people die from the chemo and radiation more so than anything else, than the cancer. I know people that have lived with cancer for years, but as soon as they took chemo and radiation, not too long after, they lost their life. So yes, chemo and radiation is the worst way to treat cancer. The youngest age for the cleanse, the youngest age, 5. The youngest child I ever detoxed was a 5-year-old, 5 years young. You say, well, why would a 5-year-old need to detox? And how does a 5-year-old detox? Well, the reason the 5-year-old needed to cleanse was because he kept on getting fevers periodically. He kept on getting fevers and for some reason they couldn't control it. Well, I knew what was going on. It was those vaccines. His body was fighting those vaccines and those fevers just wasn't getting under control. So what did we do? His mother supported him through a 3-week process. A 5-year-old drinking juices, a 5-year-old eating raw, 5-year-old doing nothing, taking supplements. And guess what? After the cleanse was over, the fevers were gone. We flushed those poisons out of his body and we rebuilt his immune system at the age of 5. We cleansed a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old. These were lean, athletic young brothers. Why did they need to cleanse? Because they were dealing with allergies. When they played their sports, they had problems breathing because of their allergies. Well, guess what happened? Their mom, once again, supported them through a 3-week process. Now, I didn't do a scan on them, but she supported them through a 3-week process. And guess what? Their allergies went away, because guess what we did? We took them off dairy. She learned their blood type, and they start eating according to their blood type to keep the inflammation down. You see, so it doesn't matter if you're a 5-year-old or a 90-year-old. You have to start now getting your body right. You have to start using intelligence. We have to start using information that we have, because it's irresponsible to keep eating like your parents. They had a reason to eat like that. They didn't have this information. Now we have it, so why are we doing it? And one last point I want to make is that when we talk about protein, yes, it's true. All protein comes from plants. So when we eat animals, we're getting our protein secondhand, right? So why not just step over the animal and go to the plant? Like the brother said in the movie, an ox. You know the term, as strong as an ox? Well, have you ever seen an ox eating animals? Have you ever seen an ox eating meat? Ox don't eat meat. They don't eat animals. Ox are herbivores. And look how powerful they are. Elephants don't eat meat. Where do they get their protein from? Horses don't eat meat. Where do they get their protein from? And when you think of power, you don't say lion power. No, you say horsepower. When you think of strength, you think of an ox. All of the images and analogies based upon strength and power is animals that don't eat meat. So we have to break away from the lies that's been marketed to us. And we have to flush it out of our system. We have to flush our mind of negative thoughts, negative emotions. And we have to flush our body of negative toxicity and poison. And we have to rebalance our spirit, okay? So that's the reason why we are offering the 3-week process, the cleansing and detoxification program. This is a program after years of scanning, after thousands of cases that has come before me. I now know the pattern of disease, but guess what? I also know the pattern of healing. So you have to study something for a while to really understand how to eliminate it, get rid of it. And so when you start with the bioscan is going to help you to acknowledge what's going on in the body so that we can use that information, which has already been done, to put the products together. Most people are dealing with an acidic body. So the products are alkaline. The regimen is alkaline. The water you drink on the cleanse is alkaline. The fruits and vegetables are alkaline. So what are we doing? We are shifting your body from an acidic state to an alkaline state with the cleanse. That immediately starts the healing process, right? Because what? Disease cannot survive in an alkaline body. That's the law. And the coronavirus is not above the law. None of these diseases are above the law, but they thrive in an acidic body. So who's all out there ready to get going? Who's ready to continue cleansing? Well, you know what? I guess I should say, Melissa, who's ready to get going again? Because like Phyllis said, she cleansed about three months ago. So yeah, it's time for another cleanse.
Yes.
You know, at some point you become addicted to the cleanse, but that's not really an addiction. That's an affinity. That's a propensity towards that which is healthy. We've already had enough addictions in our life. Addiction means that you're doing something that's harmful to your body. Yes. To become addicted to the cleanse is not the proper way to say it, because it doesn't harm your body. It only helps your body. So you develop an affinity and the propensity for cleansing on an annual basis. And you never stop it because you always want to feel good. You start learning, you start becoming aware and familiar with good feeling and wellness. When people do the cleanse, they realize that that wellness has gone, it disappeared until they get it back, and they never want it to leave again. So
awesome.
Thank you guys.
Yes,
Do we need to go over the products, or are we okay?
Well, I think at this point, it's just everyone. It's amazing how most people have stayed, and I know it's Super Bowl. So I was thinking, okay, we're way long tonight, but guess what? It just tells you are the Super Bowl pre-show that they want to. They're like, we're not gonna go commit suicide tonight, because that's what usually happens at Super Bowl, right? You have these crazy parties, you drink, you eat a lot of meat and a lot of fried food. But I think we might have woke a lot of folks up tonight. So we're going to have our plant-based superfoods on Super Bowl. And I know we have the awesome and amazing Willie Mooney also there to close us out. Normally we do go over testimonials too, guys, but you can go to our website for that, Flat Belly Lifestyle, see all of the amazing transformations. I know many of you are here on the line and you've lost, some of you, 47 pounds, 35 pounds, 20 pounds. So if you drop some pounds, just hit us up in the chat real quick. Hit us in the chat. Let us know how many pounds you dropped, okay? So we can have our own chat testimonial lineup. There we go. Look at that, guys. I mean, amazing, amazing, amazing. And so without any further ado, to close us out tonight so that we can all start enjoying our Super Bowl party in about, 30 minutes? The phenomenal Willie Mooney, our Diamond Director, if you can go ahead and take it away.
Hey, wonderful, excellent presentation. This night was packed with a lot of information. This is truly a Super Bowl, a kickoff to a Super Bowl. Now, I tell you all, I got another camera set up. Before I leave, I'm gonna actually physically show you that you're not missing out on anything when it comes to meat. And it takes a man doing Super Bowl to show you how to do that, right? But let me tell you why. Because as you see to the left, you all, that bottom picture, I'm gonna be honest, and let me give you a closer view, right? I just really wanted to show you, put it right in your face. Now, this is the elephant in the room, right? Let's just be real, walking around with weights, Eric's laughing, some of you laughing, and I'm telling you, I hit it very well. Now, I could show you more pictures, go to my Facebook page, right? But I literally look like I'm pregnant with 2 baby mammals. And there's nothing to be proud about. So do I stay this way or do I make a change? Now, Eric is my frat brother, been knowing him over 30 years, right? But the unfortunate part is we rarely talked about, even if he wanted to, the elephant in the room. We rarely talked about, right, things, and maybe it's due to even situations going on now. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or you don't want to offend anyone. But this elephant in the room is still sitting there in our community. And the thing is when do we decide to expose and do something about it? Would you all just continue? Well, Eric probably tried to talk to me, but being my frat brother, because we were so close in relationship, I'm gonna tell you, when he came into the dispensary and Melissa and Phyllis and all of them said what we were doing, I was like, I'm not hearing that. Ain't no way in the world I'm finna get rid of my crab legs, lobster, shrimp. Oh my God. But let me tell you, the implant lace, look at Phyllis like, oh my God, I know what you're talking about. Yes. But let me tell you all, I had to make a change.
Yes.
I had to. You know, there was, when you look at the elephant in the room and nobody, I don't know if they were being nice. I don't know if my family cared about me so much. But the thing is that I knew when I looked in the mirror, when I would wake up, not have energy, when I would try to run and run out of breath, when there were things that I would sit down and eat, in my conscious mind, I knew like I shouldn't have this. But there was some, and even being a cancer survivor, I should have knew better, right? But the thing is I didn't. And maybe that's you. But let me make something very clear. You're gonna see amazing results with what we do. You're gonna look at and see amazing results even coming from you're gonna look at that scan or you're gonna learn what your blood type is and you're going to be compelled to do something about it. And why? Because I don't think you're anything different than me. I really don't. I don't think you're anything different than Melissa, Phyllis, Dr. Eric, or anybody, the average person that's out there that says, I need to make a change. Now, we don't make any claims to mitigate, cure, diagnose, treat, or prevent any disease, right? But you should consult with your doctor when doing anything. But I would say the same thing if you're going to buy something from GNC, right? So let me just make this perfectly clear. We have a lot of testimonies. You can go to the person's page who invite you, and I guarantee you their Facebook page, ask them to send you some pictures, ask them to send you results, and I guarantee you, you will not be able to deny the benefits. But let me show you something. This is something that I don't know what I was thinking by sitting in front of the room with Eric again, because I did take my first scan, which is to the left. Now, I called for the whole room because I really didn't want to be the guinea pig. By default, I could understand people who were in the room that said, I'm not taking my second scan right now, but I did it. Surprisingly, and not even a month since I finished my cleanse, the results, and I'm reading the words, and I'm not going to read all of them. Take a screenshot. You can read the words of Melissa Boston. Eric commented, like 6 improvements, 4 declines, meaning, okay, I was in bad places in certain areas, but there was a decline, but 5 things stayed the same. Now, you would hear me say over and over again, even during my cleanse, I'm not working out. I'm not working out. I don't have to work out. I lost my gut. I'm not working out. I'm not working out. And guess what? That second scan showed you ain't been working out. Everything improved except I'm like, babe, look like I got to work out with Eric. So what am I saying? I'm saying you can start even if you don't understand what you're doing like I did. But you can start in one of the phases that we have being pioneered by Wakana, being pioneered by Dr. Eric Prince, Sharon, and Mike. You've heard about the people who are at the dispensary sitting there scanning 25 to 30 people every Tuesday and Thursday. What's going on? Because there's something that we're trying to get you to see, and that I've learned myself, even being as me and Eric used to say, well, we used to be carnivores, but we didn't even know what carnivores were. But we went from, and I'm saying we because I had to evolve, eating protein from animals, right? Which is phase 1, which is an excellent phase to start if you're not ready to propel into the next couple of phases, right? But it's premium. Like we're gonna give you, you can go to the website, download a free ebook, and you're gonna see exactly what phase 1 is. My mom started with phase 1. I brought her in for a scan. You guys helped do that because I invited her to this call, and she ended up at the dispensary. Talked to Dr. Eric. Now she calls me every other day. Will, guess what? I went to the grocery store to get. Will, guess what? And I love it. She's on phase 1. And I'm going to explain to you phase 2, right, is another step. Get rid of the meat, but you're still cooking, right? Right? You're still cooking, but it's plant-based. Phase 3, total raw. 21 days, reset the body. It's amazing. This is what the packages look like. Please do me a favor. Do not just don't do anything. Dive yourself in this Super Bowl with your chicken wings, with your pizza, your sandwiches, Subway and all. Don't do it and then turn right. Tomorrow can be your day 1. And you can start by ordering where you're going to start tonight. Now, the thing is that you should go to the website. Now, I give the brothers and some of the sisters, I'm going to give you a little leeway, just a little window. Super Bowl probably is in about 8, 9 o'clock tonight. Take a picture of this slide, then go to the website, but don't not go. What can you do on the website? You can download a free ebook. You can download and actually, right, you can order your blood type testing kit from the person's website that ordered you. If you want to do it at home, or if you come by the dispensary, you could go to the website, scan, like take out your camera or take a snapshot. Then later on, take out a camera, pull that snapshot out, put your camera up to that barcode, take you to the website. And what can you do? You can actually book your appointment for your scan. Look for Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can do all of that. right? Before you even chose a package. But it's something, and I rarely tell somebody what they need to do, but it's something that you really need to do. Now, what's on this website? Just like this, there was over 75 people, 80 people on this call, and we have even more in the community from phase 1 to phase 3. Even if you decide that you want to be a coach, you want to glean under Dr. Eric Plintz to know what he knows and know how to apply this body scan concept right in your own home, right in your church, right in the beauty shop or the barber shop. You want to be able to walk around and help a lot of people. We even had that community available to you. So you can go to the website, join the community, and hear all the feedback. See all the things that's going on. I'm going to show you some recipes at the end. But I tell you, if you really want the recipes, go to the community. I promise I'm going to tease you real good with what's going on today. Now, I'm not going to play this video. It's a little long, and I don't want to keep myself or you from the Super Bowl. But I tell you, come back next Sunday. Get in tune with us during the week. Come, please. What, should I go through this video? 2 minutes? Yeah. Wave your hand. Well, I'm gonna go to the next slide. So what is coaching, you all? Coaching and how it works is, man, some of you may actually see the benefit like I have. Like, I want to get to my mom. I want to be firsthand on deck to guiding her. I want to guide my friends. My friends, they trust me. They're going to call me. I want to make sure, because I have philanthropy in my heart like that. I want to guide them step by step, just like Eric, just like Sharon, just like Michael. Eric did it for me, even during resistance, but I still did it, but with his guidance, right? So you can purchase the Wellness Coaching Pack, right? That's available. You have to complete the 21-day cleanse to be a coach. There's some excellent training going on right now. We had a training last Wednesday, and it was in person. Eric did his thing. We learned a lot. We laughed a lot. They laughed at my skin too. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. I'm gonna let me know. But I'll tell you, there's a lot that's happening, a lot that's going on. Here is the coaching pack. I'm not gonna go through the details, but I tell you, we had learned how to even test someone's blood to find out what blood type they are and be able to tell them and to watch them light up and come into acknowledgement and awareness of what actually was good for their body and bad for, because how many of you don't know your blood type? Drop it in the chat. Be honest if you do not know your blood type. Just drop it in the chat. But this is the powerful thing. Eric talked about the bioscan. I showed you the colors on the screen, but this just lights me up when I see this and getting ready to take the next step. Why? To be educated and learn even more. And you can be a pioneer of that in your family. There's compensation attached to that. I'm not going to go with that, but I tell you, the next step is, maybe it's you and this is your first time here. Do you know your blood type? Main question, do you know your blood type? Second main question, Eric talked about a lot. He shared a lot. Think about the years that you might have been proud as a Leo or a Lion to be a coach. Do you really know at this point what's going on inside of your body? If you don't, then you need to have the scan done. Come by the dispensary, have the scan done, or reach out to somebody, to reach out to the person that invited you and say, you know what, I need to take a survey. And then take action. Get to the website, order the products, and do everything that you need to do in order to say, I need to be a change for my family. I'm thinking about, like Eric said, I don't just want to be around for my grandchildren. There's a great-grandchildren and a great-great-grandchildren. That's a concept that we can get back to. How many of you would actually say, I'm going to take on the pledge and I'm going to be one of the 1 million blood type tests that's going to go, and I need that revealed for me, and I'm going to be a part of this movement. That's actually what's happening, you all. So I'm not going to hold you any longer. I said, let me see this. Hold on. If Melissa would allow me the time,
You want to see that food, Willie? That's what this is about tonight.
I'll see the preparation. I just want to show them a little something. Let me see. Choose virtual background. I'm going to cut this off so y'all see the kitchen. Yeah. Wife gonna kill me for showing this kitchen, but I'm going to try to be a little discreet. So give y'all a little spin around. Look at this right here. Y'all might say,
oh my gosh.
That is a vegan pizza, cauliflower crust, and it is amazing, right? So let's go over to, I got my air fryer going. Look, you all, I am actually preparing chicken wings made out of cauliflower. I'm gonna say it like you can relate to it. Y'all see this popcorn that I'm about to make? I'm not using that other stuff, right? Look at this, y'all. This is my meat here. Woo, check that out. I'm making, guess what I am making? Hold on, let me see if I can do this right quick. Hold on. You all, I am taking this walnut meat. Look at that. Look how fine it is. Now, I haven't cooked it yet, but it's walnut meat. I took walnuts, I crushed them up in the food processor, and it tastes amazing. Ask Dr. Betty, I let her taste it. But I'm taking the cauliflower for cauliflower wings. You see that, you all? French fries. What am I making? Can anybody drop it in the chat? What am I making? You see some Cholula, nutmeg, paprika, coconut amino, vegan ranch dressing. This looks like a Super Bowl. Look, can anybody tell me what I'm making with these potato fries? Well, I just gave it away. Well, let me tell you, cheese fries. See, Super Bowl men love to eat hearty, and I love food. I'm not, and let me tell you, you all, I'm not missing out on protein at all. Eric was right. When you actually put yourself in a position to eat like God created us to eat, you all, I have more energy, more stamina, more endurance than I've ever had. So I don't know if I'm ready to run with Eric on the track. But I tell you, I'm not ready to give up the new lifestyle that I've got into. And I encourage you to do the same. So with that being said, check out the webpage, check out Wakanda for Life, get in the Flat Belly Lifestyle group. I already started posting pictures. I want everybody, if you are eating vegan at the Super Bowl, whatever you're making, I want you to put it on Facebook, put it in these groups and show us, because I'm going to show you mine. And I tell you, it's going to be good. Look, Miss Mooney is in there waiting, and I know her belly is like, oh. So, with that being said, love you all. Enjoy the game. This is Wakanda for Life. I love this space. It has changed my life. Love you all, and have a great night. Enjoy.
Wow, thank you guys. Awesome. We're jealous of the food, though. We thought you were coming to the dispensary, so we're going to get you. You owe us.
I tried. But let me tell you, there's some amazing food coming by the dispensary.
Yes.
Elihu Israel is bringing oyster mushrooms that actually are amazing, fried oyster mushrooms. He's bringing kale chips that are, oh my God, like they're so, like, we gonna be able to party all night virtually, right? And I think we will have Subway ain't got nothing on us. Let me tell you, Kentucky, I went to Sam's Club and everybody was standing in line getting rotisserie chicken, and I had not a craving in the world, right? I was like, y'all don't know what y'all doing. But let me tell you, when you see what's going, this is the perfect timing. That if you want to see what food is really about, and it coming from a man's perspective, I'm telling you, tune in to Wakanda's channels, you all, and check it out. It's going to look amazing. And I'm telling you, I'm not just hyping it up. I fed my wife these cauliflower chicken wings. She woke up, y'all. Look at that video on my, she woke up, she smelled it, and she said, what is this? She said, can you make some more? That's her voice, y'all. And they are amazing. So it was her #1 request. But these fries, you all, and taco, you know. So yes, we're gonna have a replay. We're gonna have a tailgate after the tailgate at the dispensary on another day, Melissa. I got you. I got you.
Awesome. Okay, that's fair. Well, you guys have fun. We're gonna have fun. I'm headed to my second Super Bowl, so I'm heading to the office now. So super excited about tonight, guys. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Dr. Eric. Thank you, Dr. Rita. Thank you, Phyllis Nash. Thank you, Willie Mooney. And thank you all for joining us tonight. So yay, thank you, Kathy, for doing our MC. See you guys.